Can you just let me finish?
Okay, well, I thought I had, but go ahead.
Okay, y'all, let's take turns and let each other finish.
Welcome to Let Me Finish, the podcast where three minds give their unfiltered and sometimes unpopular opinions on all the craziness going on in our lives and in this world. We're your hosts, Jillian,
Janice,
And Michael.
Settle in and let's take a deep dive. Okay, welcome back. We are back for episode number 44 of Let Me Finish.
Woo.
I'm your host, Jillian.
I'm Janice.
And I'm Michael.
All right, let's go ahead and just dive right into it, talk about our weeks and what we did. I'll start off, and I said, okay, I had a pretty good week at work. It was real chill, nothing too crazy. And I'm like, ooh, I like this pace because it's going to pick up next week because usually end of the month, that's when things really pick up for me. So like, and towards the end of the month, beginning of the next month, it really picks up. So I'm like, I'm enjoying this little respite before we get into the craziness. So I'm enjoying that part. I had my workout classes. I just started a new session at my workout classes. I mean, taking a week off, about a week and a half off, I'm struggling. And I'm just like, I looked at my instructor and I'm like, ma'am, I need you to calm down. Because usually at the beginning of the session,
Slow
when there's
down,
new
I
students.
just started again.
Exactly. When there's new students, she's kind of like gung-ho and like puts everything in there. I say, ma'am, these burpees are just killing me. I can't do this. And so I'm like, all right, slow down. And now she's like, okay, I'm doing 8-pound weights. And she's just like, oh, those are too light for you. I'm like, excuse me? And now she's like, yeah, I think you need to do 9 or 10s next time. I'm like, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
I thought she said that a while ago, so you still ain't been up to 10, honey?
I still haven't been up to 10. Because really, honestly, you notice when you take that break.
Of course.
Yeah, to get back into it. I think once I'm back into it and doing it every single week, I think towards the middle of the session, I'll probably be back. I'm like, okay, totally, I can do this. Yeah. I feel more confident the more consistent I am. And so I'm definitely trying to be that. And I just, with the bad weather, I got kind of lazy.
Right.
So I'm trying to be better at that. I finished my book, Spare with Prince Harry. I've been really into biographies right now. So the last couple books I read Jada, I read Britney Spears' biography, and now I finished Harry's. There's a couple more biographies that I want to read.
I have Spare. I've been listening to it on Audible, but I haven't finished it. But it seems like Jillian has a lot more opinions about it than I do so far.
Okay. Well, it gets heated towards the end of the book.
Okay.
So the beginning of the book,
which makes sense. I haven't gotten to like the Meghan of it all.
The Meghan, and also after his mom died, I think the dynamic definitely changes for Harry, and so I got more.
Past that.
Yeah, so the mom died because the discussion of his mom's death is kind of littered throughout the book, but really, honestly,
because he was in denial.
He was in denial for a very long time.
That she
and
was
so
dead.
when you get into his military career and his time after the military, you kind of really feel like, okay, this person was definitely hurt and had a lot of stuff he had to deal with and work through. And I'm glad to say that with the help of Meghan, he was able to really work through a lot of stuff that he had going on. So I'm really happy and proud for him. And then I started a new book called A Touch of Darkness by, I can't remember the name of the author. I'll probably put it in the show notes. But I'm really enjoying that. It's a little fun little romance novel. It's not too spicy. I'll probably give it a 3 on spicy.
Out of a 5 out of 10?
5.
Oh, okay.
Out of 5.
And that's up there.
That's 3. That's mine, because I'd be
like 5, honey.
5. I'd be like, I'm like,
give me that spice.
I want that dirty shit.
It's not 50 Shades of Grey. Just like
that's a smut.
That's smut. Yeah,
I like smut.
Thank you. It's not smut. It's cute. It's not.
It's like a love story for real, like normal, normal sex practices.
Yeah.
Not so like animals.
It's a 3 on the spicy. I call our mom is a huge Katherine Anderson romance novel fan. It's like, so that's a 1.
That's like a 1.5.
Not even. That's a 1. So it's between.
That's like he brushed my arm.
Yes,
girl.
Very.
Throw me down.
Very conservative. very conservative. So I would give it a 3 out of 5. So 50 Shades of Grey is, in the 5s.
They're 5s, okay.
And then this book is like a 3. And so
that's good.
I've been enjoying that. It's a quick read. It's not a difficult read. So I'm going to get through that. There's a lot of books.
When did you start reading it?
I started reading it like 3 days ago. And
you almost done?
I'm almost done. I'm halfway through it. And that's one of the things. I only read about it. I try to read about an hour a day, and I listen to the audiobook in my car. So 30 minutes.
Girl, I get obsessed, and I don't. I've been in my car before at lights, like it's sad. No, that's
why I love.
That's why I do the audiobooks now.
That's why I love the audiobooks, because I can do it in my car. So it's it's about a 25-30 minute commute for me to work and force back home. And sometimes I'll do it on my lunch break, sometimes I won't. And then in the morning, if doing some clerical stuff, I'll continue to listen to it. So I would say at least an hour a day. So I haven't been listening to it. It's about a 10-hour audiobook. So it's not going to take me long to get through it. And I did listen.
So the thing about it is, how do you, because if you're reading it physically at home and then you go into your car and do the audio, how do you even find where you were?
So what I do, because with audiobooks on Libby, because I check out the audiobook through my library card through Libby, and Libby, they mark exactly what chapter you're in on the audiobook. So I can go on the audiobook and see what chapter I'm on, and then based on whatever I've already heard, I can find it in the book real quick.
Okay. That makes sense.
And these books are really short, like with Prince. I didn't have the physical copy of Prince Harry. His chapters are really like 2-3 minute audio.
But it's a big book.
It's a big book, but his chapters are there. I think there was like 2 or 3 sections, but each section had like 60 chapters.
Wow.
So, but when you're reading it, it only takes the narrator like 5 minutes to read each chapter.
It's him.
It's him.
Oh.
I was saying mine. It's him.
It is. It's him. He's the narrator.
Yeah.
So it only takes about him like 5 minutes. So it's not. There were sections where it only took him like 2 minutes to read. So it's not long sections. So I'm like, you didn't really need to do all of that, but because it'd be like, ooh, chapter 1, chapter 2. I'm like, how many chapters in this book? But when I go and look,
chapter 6,
I'm like, oh, so you got part 1, part 2, and I think part 3, and each of them had like 60, 70 chapters. I'm like, okay, that was kind of crazy that you did it like that, but do your thing. So it is what it is. Most of the audiobooks, like, because even Britney Spears' autobiography, that was a quick one.
Oh
too.
yeah, I like that book. That was an easy listen.
And Michelle Williams did a great job.
To me, I felt like she very much gave like Britney Spears vibes.
Yes, that innocent.
Like, I definitely would forget it's not Britney talking, but then when you heard Britney talk, you were like, oh, that's different.
That's different. Yeah, exactly. She did the intro.
Britney's voice is very like high pitched and very like childish.
Very childish.
It's very childlike.
Yeah,
she has
that's
that
always been her
Michael Jackson quality where she never really grew up.
I don't know. Do you feel like her voice always sounded like that?
Yes,
I think so. She's always sounded like a little girl,
and she had that like thick Southern accent.
Yeah, she from Louisiana.
She talked more. I don't know. Maybe I just heard her talk more. I was like,
So I did that. That was my book, and then I started a new television show, True Detective, with Jodie Foster.
You love it?
I haven't
seen the new one yet.
Oh. Okay, so I have not seen seasons 1, 2, and 3. Only reason why I delved into it, I'm like, Jodie Foster don't be getting in front of the camera that much anymore. She's mostly behind the camera. She's mostly doing directing. For her to get in front of the camera, this got to be a good script.
Yeah.
And so there's only been one episode. The second episode comes out today. I'm like, all right, I'm into this, because it's like a murder mystery and they're in Alaska, but it's like night all day. So I'm just like, all right, this is about to get good, because it's kind of weird. I'm like, so it really is dark the whole time. So it's hard to tell, because I'm like, so are they going to go to bed anytime soon? Or, you can't tell. You can't tell, they're on shift or whatever. I'm just like, it's some freaky stuff in there. I'm just like, it's going to be a nice little mystery, because I do like mysteries. So I'm excited about that. So Jodie Foster, great actress. So I'm excited about that too. So.
All right. So that was your week. Started working out, got you a new show, read you some good books.
Yes. I had a great week.
Good.
So for my week, Janice here. So, yeah, my week was, I came back. So just so you guys know, the reason why we did not record the week before is because they had inclement weather here in Texas. So we played it on the side of caution. And so that's why y'all didn't have an episode last week. So we apologize, but we're back again. And then I went to Vegas that following week. So then I went to Vegas for work for that following week. And then this week has just been, it actually went really quick because we were out of the office on Monday because of the weather. Mm-hmm. And then, but my big thing right now is vitamins. Guys, I've been taking my vitamins.
Look at you.
I never used to. I've never taken vitamins regularly.
Me neither.
And I think that's why I'm always so tired and lethargic and not wanting to do anything. So I got me a good multivitamin, but also some B12 for energy. And then I did a probiotic. I think the older we're getting, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I need to take this now. So, but I have felt really great this week, so I'm excited about that. Mm-hmm. Yay!
Good.
Other than that, I think, just that, my health. I mean, I have been obsessed with Monopoly Go, but I've been obsessed with that for a little while now. So
I've never done it.
Okay, so I've
so fun.
Contemplated starting that.
Girl, it's fun.
Can we friend each other on the game?
Yeah, no, because we're Facebook friends. Basically, anybody that comes on the game that's Facebook friends with you, you'll see them. They'll start to interact with you on the game.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. It's super fun. Like, I get like people at my job now, they have group text. I'm like, do you have this sticker? I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a good game though. Sponsor. But yeah, Monopoly Go is really fun. So I've enjoyed that. And then I haven't really been reading, so I can't even say. Oh, I did get a budget planner. I got a budget planner book. Somebody's making fun of me because I got a budget. And so I bought a book. And they were like, so you bought money to budget? You spent money to budget? I was like, I did.
But it's worth
Mind your business.
Yeah.
But I needed something to kind of guide me on how to do a budget. Because I'm like, at this point, the older I'm getting, I think I'm just, this year, 2024, I'm trying to be more of an adult and not just fly by the seat of my pants, which is what I feel like I've been doing.
Me too.
Right? Like, I'm like, maybe I should actually think about my future and my savings and my health and how I feel and what my body's telling me. So that's what this plan is this year, is to definitely get better with my finances, with budgeting, because I spend until I don't have it.
Me too.
That's literally what I do. And then also my health, like just my normal everyday health and how I feel. So that's I already talked about that in 2024, but I've actually made steps.
Good for you.
To do it, guys.
Awesome.
Good for you.
Job.
Yes. We like to hear that. I've started taking vitamins maybe like 2 weeks ago. I don't even know what I'm taking. Is D12 a thing? Is that what you just said?
B12.
Oh, B12.
Yeah,
okay.
it's for energy, and it's like if you're what it says, it's for energy, but it's because you're vitamin D deficient.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah. So I went to the doctor recently and did an annual checkup, and he was like, "You're very unhealthy," and I was like, "Okay." And he was
said,
like,
"Okay, well, how do I fix it?"
He was like, "You need to make some drastic changes."
Drastic?
Yeah, he was like, because my cholesterol is really high, and he was like, "No more red meat." I was like, "One more again?" And he was like, "You heard me." And I was like, and then I was like, okay, fine. I guess I'm just not going to enjoy life anymore. And he was like, pretty much. He was like, I just want you to have more vegetables, more greens. And I was like, oh, really? And he was like, yeah.
So cut out red meat and eat vegetables?
I can't have red meat. And he even said no pizza. And I was like, no pizza?
Pizza?
And I was like, how do you know that I eat
pizza?
So much pizza? And he was like,
I can tell. I looked at the lab results. The dough is out of control.
I was like, what does it say in those reports exactly? But anyway, so we're also, to piggyback off that, I'm working on taking vitamins and trying to get my finances in order. And my week at work, I started a new job exactly a month ago, and I just finished training. It was 40 hours of training. Good God. It's a lot of training. But I just finished it, so now I'm starting tomorrow, which is I guess it'll be Monday tomorrow. I'm starting officially doing the job. So I'm ready for that.
Are you excited?
I'm excited, but I have to be up at 4 a.m. tomorrow because I work in events. I'm working event management at a hotel at the Sheraton McKinney, and so I've got an event tomorrow starting at 5:30. So I have to wake up at 4:15 to get ready and
get there,
showered and everything ready for the event at 5:30. So
And then do you have to? Is the event already set up? Or
the
do you have
event
to,
is set. Thankfully, this is a great thing about event management is I don't have to set up anything. Like banquets, they do all the setup. I just show up and I'm like, okay, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good.
That looks horrible,
Change that. Like
okay.
That's a good thing about management is that I'm not physically like.
Ooh, I like the event management. That sounds
Yeah,
cool.
it's different.
So it's a corporate event.
It's a corporate event. It's UPS. I think I can say that. But yes, it's and I'm not supposed to say this, but there's a next weekend. So I'm not going to say who it is, but I'll just hint at it.
Okay.
We have a celebrity at the hotel. He's a political former presidential Democratic candidate. I hope no one at work listens to this.
So maybe don't advertise it for
I'm
a
just
couple
not going to
weeks.
say it, but let's just say that he's.
It's exciting stuff.
I bet you he's going to be there in style. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Bet.
Oh,
Yeah, that's all I can say.
okay. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I get to like work with
So
him.
it's like a campaign event, like a fundraising.
It's the Democratic Society of something, blah, blah, blah. And then
Oh, I bet you love that.
I do.
I bet you're like, I'm good with this event.
Yeah, their celebrity speaker is this person, and when I found out, I was like super stoked about it. So I'm his point of contact, so I'm gonna get to like talk with him and like
with his people, yeah.
with his people and with him too.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get fired tomorrow.
No.
Nothing was said.
Nothing was said.
Nothing
This is all
said.
jokes, guys. All
Yeah,
jokes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. There you go. It's not happening.
That's exciting. So
Yeah.
there should be a lot of cool stuff coming your way
Yeah,
with that.
I'm
That's
looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
I just so when you say event management, so you're not doing weddings.
I don't do weddings, thank God, because I don't have the patience to deal with bridezillas. I don't do that.
So you're just gonna be
corporate
Corporate.
events, and like if there's like a bat mitzvah or like bar mitzvah parties and stuff, I can do that stuff.
just
Okay.
yeah,
But
separate
not
than
weddings.
weddings.
Yeah, there's a person that does.
bar mitzvahs. I bet those are fun.
Yeah, they actually are fun.
Yeah.
But there's a woman that does weddings, and thank
She
God, she
handles
handles
all
all that. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that's way harder to plan like
Oh
an
my
event
God.
for a wedding. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would not
That's
sign up for
So
that.
into it. Like, even though I'm about to be in a wedding, my friend's getting married. I'm in her wedding. She's actually been very chill bride.
That's
Very,
good.
very chill.
That's good.
You got lucky.
Yes, and my other friend that was in her wedding, she was very chill too. So I guess, or maybe they just didn't demand too much out of me because they knew I was going to do it. Maybe they know me well enough.
We all know Janine.
Maybe not loop me into that.
But you weren't the maid of honor in any of the
No.
weddings.
No.
Okay.
I'm just a bridesmaid. Hey, that's what I'm like.
You know what? Because I was a bridesmaid once, and all I had to do was buy my dress, and I did host the bridal shower. That was it.
I'll do that, but then like, I don't know. There's so much going on. I'm like, oh gosh, it's a lot. So she's actually been very sweet and not, asked my opinion on stuff, but not been like, you have to be here. If you
Right.
don't, you're not a good friend. And you know how sometimes it's like,
Yeah, they can
friendships
get
can be
crazy.
ruined.
Yes.
Over a wedding. But
Yeah, that's good because, I think I will be a bridezilla, but that's for another day.
I'm gonna just stay behind Stacy. Stacy, go get
You
it.
can deal with that. Fix her.
She's
Fix
having
her.
a meltdown,
Meltdown.
and I
So-
don't know what to do.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully one day, but we'll see. Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break,
And we'll come back
We'll
and-
come right back. Okay, we are back, and we're going to go ahead and jump into our chokehold. Michael has one. He discussed this with us this week, and he wanted to talk about it. So this is going to be a perfect segue into something that we wanted to discuss. But go ahead, Michael. Go ahead and tell us what had you in a chokehold this week.
Yeah, so my chokehold was presidential candidate. Excuse me. She's not a nominee yet.
Republican nominee.
Republican, yeah, candidate.
Candidate.
She, Nikki Haley, said that she was in a word salad during an interview. She's calling it a word salad, saying that this country has never been a racist country. We're not a racist country, and we've never been a racist country. And a lot of people, rightfully so, have spoken out against that, saying it's interesting you say that because this is also the woman when asked. Specifically, what was the cause of the Civil War? She said small government. instead of slavery. When we
She
all
didn't
know-
want to discuss
She
it.
didn't want to discuss it because she was in an audience of predominantly white voters who are interested in supporting her. And let's keep in mind, Nikki Haley is not white.
She's not a woman of. She's not. Yeah.
She's a woman of
She's
color.
a woman of color. She's one of those people, I think, that, you know, it's so ironic is that in that interview when she said, we've never been a racist country, she literally 10 seconds later said, you know, I have experienced racism when I was younger. And it's like, okay, but you
girl.
just said it was,
Contradicted.
yeah, it's like you just said it's not a racist country, and yet you've experienced racism. Which is it?
Yeah.
So she, you know, claims that it was, her words were twisted, and of course you say that.
You
after
said
the
word.
fact.
Okay, so you said word salad. Is that what she like? She meaning
She
it got
did.
twisted around.
So I think with Nikki Haley, she is, as a Republican nominee, or vying for the Republican nomination for president, as a woman of color, let's be honest, that party is built for white Christian men.
Yes.
And so she is trying to walk a tightrope where she almost like she has to disconnect from her own heritage to be able to appease them. She's saying what they want to hear.
Yes.
Not necessarily the truth, but what they want to hear and feel placated and feel comfortable hearing. So I think at the end of the day, I don't sometimes I
Question.
don't even think she
Isn't
I don't-
that politics though? Isn't that all about politics? Like giving what they want to hear.
Yes, to a certain extent, but you can't flat out, ma'am. You can't flat out. There's ways to acknowledge something. I feel like America. This is a good analogy. So, I feel like America. I've heard this analogy before. America thinks they're Superman, but really they're Batman. Where we're not necessarily always good. We aspire to be, we want to be, and that's what we hope to be. But due to racism, sexism,
Some problems.
How they've
xenophobia.
obtained this country,
and let's
Yes.
be honest, and let's be
the foundations of it.
exactly. And I think at the end of the day, until we acknowledge what has happened and there's proper education, dissection, acknowledgement of what happened, and that starts with the Native Americans to the African Americans to everyone else who have since come to this country. Until we do that, we're never going to be who we hope America
That's
is.
my issue.
Absolutely.
I think that's always my issue. It's the fact that do they do things to acknowledge it, kind of like the affirmative action and, you know, reprimands and things like that. But it's like you almost want to, but then people say it's a bad thing, and then it's like you're horrible for even taking it. So then it's like you do little things, but then you make people feel bad for having those advantages when our entire life is a disadvantage here, at least.
Yes.
Like there was that. Y'all ever seen that thing that where a school teacher put all of his students outside, and he had like the black kids kind of step back, and then like
They
had
all started at
the same spot, and then he's like, take a step forward, take a step forward, take a step back, and it was just like he was trying to show you this is why there's an injustice in this country, and it's not always something that you know about. Like you don't always, you as you know,
we're not all starting out the race at the same time.
no,
And let's
we're
be
not.
honest. Yeah.
And I think that people, because of the whole idea of people want to be Superman, they want to be that good country. They want to be a part of a country that's all about equality and what it's supposed to quote unquote stand for. It's like, I'm going to basically, it's like ignorance is bliss. I'd rather just ignore it and say it never happened. And then all of these other things is like to make up for, even though we know it happened, but it wasn't as bad as you guys think. And this is what we're going to do to kind of appease that. But don't rest on that. It's almost like sometimes how I'm at work where I'm like, stop talking about all the things that other people have. Let's talk about what you have and how we can get you to where you want to be.
Right.
It's like that, but it's like you're trying to use that in people's like lives and like how they're treated. That's totally different. Like that same philosophy of dog eat dog, it shouldn't be the way it is with the country and people, and it just shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I think you're spot on. It's like they want to like ignore it.
Yeah.
But then not ignore it. Ignore it, but not ignore it.
Yeah.
I'm going to acknowledge it, but it's not as bad as you made it seem.
they try to gaslight you. I'm just like, I don't think, and I think it starts with education, which anyone who knows their history knows that daughters of the Confederacy, after the Civil War, they purposely, so that they wouldn't feel bad because they lost, started alternating in history books the real reason why the war started. So I think that's where it started. I said, if you're not learning your proper history, how can you acknowledge something and be able to see things? I think once you have knowledge, you can't unsee certain things. And I always tell people, I said, not saying that we can't achieve greatness here, and I do feel like a lot of people can come from nothing and of course achieve great things here. But I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, but there's people who are starting, like you said, way behind. Not saying they can't win the race, but they're starting way behind.
But you have to try that much harder.
There's a lot of people born on third base, and then they're like, oh, I got here by myself. But you're already born on third base.
There are people in corporate America that legitimate, like, and these are like white men that will tell me, you had the same opportunities we did. I'm like, no, that's not true. Like, I have to try that much harder to even have my idea acknowledged. Let's be real. Heard. And they literally are like, no, that's bullshit. That's not true. That's not true. I'm like, I experienced it.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me.
And I continue to experience it, which is one of the reasons why I want to go work for a Black-owned company. I went through over a decade of it. To where I was overlooked, underpaid, overworked, like all of it. And don't get me wrong, it happens wherever you go.
Yeah.
You know, like just that whole, you just have to keep fighting because by the end of the day, I know when I'm in a circle of people of color, my advantages are closer to equal than when I'm not. When I'm in a group of people that are white.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at a disadvantage, period. Starting off.
Yeah.
Period. First of all, y'all don't even think I'm smart enough to be in this circle.
Yeah.
Half the time.
Yeah. Most of the time, they don't even think you.
And then they're so impressed when they figure out
right.
I am. They're so impressed. I'm like, that's a shame.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially as Black women.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's like almost like surprising to you that I do have good ideas. I am so smart. Oh, wow. She gets it. Oh.
Yeah.
Been doing it in 10 years. So
Look how articulate she is.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Well, even that. Oh,
what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
That right there, a country of racism. And it's one of the main things that I always say is what people say to me, and they mean no harm. You're not white. I mean, you're not Black, Janice. You're white.
Yeah, people have said that.
They say it to me all the time.
Yeah.
It's one of the main things where I'm like, that is systemic racism at its finest.
Yeah, it's
like, it's not even something you're thinking about.
Right.
But it's like,
you're not like the others.
Why are you stripping me of the color of my skin that has nothing to do with how I talk, how I act, my education level? That has nothing to do with anything. You just, when you're saying that, which I don't feel like they actually feel this way, but it is what is being said. You're so smart. You're so articulate. You're so driven. I'm going to just completely strip that color away from you. I'm going to elevate you to my level. You're not even Black.
You know what it is you are challenging their preconceived conception of Black people. You do not match what they feel a Black person is. So instead of challenging their preconceived conception, they rather take you out and say, yeah, you're an anomaly. You're not really like.
So I'm just going to, because it's not just white people that do it. People of color do it to me too. Like, everybody does it.
Yeah, because I mean, I would say when it comes to racism and white supremacy, it is something. It is a system. It's not the people. Anyone can be guilty of it.
Yeah,
it is. It's definitely a system. You can be brainwashed into thinking this way, and you do have to. Even if I don't know about you guys, but even as a person of color, especially as a dark-skinned Black woman, you sometimes be looking at yourself and be like, you have to deconstruct your mind, because when you're looking at something and we're like, okay, that's the standard of beauty. I don't match that. So you internalize it and be like, well, I'm not as pretty as them. I'm like, yes, I am. I am just as pretty as them. Just because I'm not white, blonde hair and blue eyes does not take away my own beauty as well. So you kind of have to deconstruct that from your own mind, because it is drilled into you from sundown to sun up to sunset. It is drilled in you. It is in everything. It's in our media. It's in our books. It's everywhere.
And don't get me wrong, that is everybody, right? But I think it's just because I do think even your body size your body type, that is also the same thing that's drilled into us too. So, I mean, I do think you don't just have to be a person of color to experience that. You just have to understand, like, just because you're not experiencing it doesn't mean it's not true.
Right.
And from what I understand, Nikki, she later in her speech went on to say, and I did experience racism here, whatever. Like, so you just said racism doesn't exist. It's not a country that's built on it, but then you said you experienced it. So I'm confused.
Yeah.
Like, you contradicted yourself.
She is a walking contradiction. Everything, I've followed her career for the past decade, and she used to be the governor of South Carolina, and there are a lot of qualities about her that I find, and it's not because she's a Republican. There are Republicans that I, like as people, but she is very fake. She's very phony. She is the epitome of a politician. She just tells you exactly what
she's playing the game.
She's playing the game, and she knows.
Right.
Everything they said about Hillary, she is. All the stuff that they said that Hillary is hawkish or she's phony or she's fake. No, this is someone who I really happen to be a fan of Hillary, but that's beside the point.
Right.
Everything they said about her applies to Nikki Haley, and in this particular instance, when she would not say that slavery was the cause of the Civil War, when we all know that it was. She was in this position where it's like, oh shoot, I'm in front of a bunch of white, predominantly men. They don't. And I
don't want to ruin my chances.
I don't want to ruin my chances.
That's what it is.
They don't want to hear that the cause was slavery.
I think it's the same mindset of me being a black woman in a room full of Caucasian corporate America. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I probably watch a little bit of what I say and how I say it. I fit to the game.
Right.
There's a game to it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what because I do you think that people of color that are Republicans, do you feel like they're misunderstood at all?
That's an excellent question.
I think when it comes to, usually they're coming from deep red states.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I really do think it's a survival thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do think you kind of have to kind of disconnect and completely
just to survive.
Yeah.
But then I do feel like, and I mean, were you going to answer the question? I don't know.
No, just there are several people like Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy. There are people who like for Vivek in particular. He's very prejudiced as an Indian American. He happens to be, he has a lot of very pointed views about gay and trans people.
Mm-hmm. Which happens a lot I always tell people, when it comes to people of color, I would say I'm like, when you need to separate black people out of that sometimes and have people of color versus black people.
Right.
Because there's a lot of racism within people of color. So whether
Sure.
it's Spanish or Asian or whatever.
Right.
We experience that from other people of color as
course.
well. So
Of
sometimes
course.
not saying that they don't have their own crosses to bear when it comes to racism, but I'm like, we're experiencing not only from white people, sometimes other people of color as well.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
Finish what you were saying.
With Vivek,
Sorry.
it's cool. Vivek is someone who a lot of people say that he, thinks he's white, wishes he was white or something, which I would never say something like that. That's not something I would say, but
not for you to judge,
right? It's not
determine.
something I would never actually go there. But the reason that point was even brought up in the first place is because he does share a lot of beliefs that it's like, sir, you're a minority. I don't think you're like the last person who should be chastising other minorities. When you're
not realizing you're probably going to be in the same boat in the right situation.
Right.
Yes.
It's like there are people that look at you and say, go back to your country, go back to India, go back to, where you come from.
Even though he's born here.
He's just one example. And Nikki Haley, let's be honest, she changed her name. She's Nikki Haley, just like Ted Cruz is Rafael Cruz.
Her actual born name is Nimrata.
Right.
Which Trump is now using as a dog whistle.
Yes, absolutely.
Calling her by her birth name instead of her
right.
the name she
He's
prefers.
He's so nasty.
Yeah.
He's so grimy.
I mean, it's the same people that said about Barack Obama, kept calling him Hussein. It's like...
But honestly, with Barack, he went by Barry.
Right.
Even when he was met Michelle, he went by Barry. He did not go by Barack.
Right.
So
Hey, but that could be for a lot of different things, because I did not go by Janice, and it wasn't because I was ashamed of a name that could be considered black. It was just harder for people to pronounce.
Yeah.
More questions. I grew up in a predominantly white area, and I wasn't comfortable using Janice until I was around more black people.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And that's why, like, literally, because growing up, what is it? There was like 4 black kids in our whole entire elementary school, me and Michael.
Something like that.
Like, maybe 5.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I wasn't as comfortable. And then as high school went on, there's more and more people of color, black people mostly. It made you more susceptible or more, like, okay with exactly who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does definitely help because, like I said, I wouldn't say my name is quote unquote ethnic or anything like that. I asked my mom, where the hell did you get Jillian from? It's a traditional, I believe it's either an English or an Irish name, especially the way we spell it with a G.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a quote unquote traditional Jamaican or African name or anything like that. It is.
Mom said she made it up, so Janice at least.
No, she said that she's heard it before, and actually,
no, Jillian maybe she said she made up Janice.
I don't know, and
she said she made it up.
Plenty of people have pronounced my name wrong. Oh no, you gonna pronounce this name right, and I will correct you every single time.
Yeah,
like when I go to Chick-fil-A and be like, Julian, nope, Jillian.
Yeah,
I let them mess it up. I don't care.
I do.
Yeah,
I'll correct you every time.
Long as my chicken with the cheese on that shit. Whatever. Call me whatever, because I don't know you. You don't know me. I'll never see or talk to you again.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
And my name is not a typical name, so I can't even act like it's Jillian. I can understand. Jillian's a pretty people. I hear that name.
It's not a common name.
It's not a common name, but it's not like you never hear it. Janice, like you never hear Janice. Like it's rare.
Yeah, having 2 names. My first name legally is, of course, Michael, but my middle name is Kasra, and Kasra. It's exactly how it's spelled, Kasra, 2 syllables. But anytime I've tried using that as my introductory name, like, hi, I'm Kasra, people are like, I see this look of like, oh my God, what is it? I didn't get that. And it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's a lack of familiarity. It's like, oh, I've never heard that. I'm not going to remember that. Shit.
But try,
right. And so my point is, it's okay. Like, you can
mess up my name.
You can mess up my name. I'm not going to be mad at you. I mean, people have called me Karsa. People have called me all types of,
Guinness,
names that are names.
Janice.
Right, names that are not
Guinness.
really. But at the same time, they're trying. And that's all that I can ask for.
That's what I'm saying. I just, what is it? I kind of wink at the ignorance, because it's like, you're not being ignorant, but you just don't know my name. And it's hard it's not a name that's easily pronounced. Not even, Mom didn't even spell it phonetically. So.
Right.
It's not spelt the way it sounds. So
Right.
I can't even, I don't get mad at people at all. Really, the question I want to ask is, I know we're talking with the Nikki, she's a Republican nominee, and I think on it, like, a lot of times I think they'll say what they think people want them to hear, so they can even possibly get, this vote or the candidacy that they're trying to go for or whatever. But my thing about it is Republicans, like, I think what happens is, especially Republicans of color, it's like you might have more conservative views. And so that's why you identify as a Republican, not necessarily everything about Republican Party.
Yeah, I really honestly, when it comes to...
I think that's where they fit.
That's not me, but I think, honestly, if it wasn't for the racism aspect of the Republican Party, there's a lot of black people who would vote Republican.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I know...
Because especially church-going
we have family
black
members
who, at the end of the day, they're black people were... At the end of the day, actually really are conservative. It's just the racism part. And at the end of the day, it is not...
I do think black people
a party
are more
that's welcoming to people of color, unless you toe the line and speak the party lines and be able to spout their
because sometimes people like as much as and I think what you said is probably true, is just like the racism part is just like not as big a factor to them. But I do think that when you do have more conservative views on 6, 7, 8 topics, that's where you fit. You fit into the Republican Party. And when they go to like more libertarian and Democrat, and they're like, oh, well, I don't agree with 7 things as opposed to 1.
Yeah, I think that's a sticking point.
That's why for me, I can't say I identify as either. Like, I really do try to listen to the candidate, what their views are, and then go from there.
Right. And for me personally,
obviously Trump is not even
though
option.
I vote Democrat, it's because that's really, at the end of the day, we really have two choices. And at the end of the day, I think most Democrats are center left. That they're really not that far off.
I'm definitely not far
the
left,
majority of Republicans, which I think they're center right. They're not that far off. I'm left. I'm very liberal. Because I even have problems with the Democratic Party because I feel like they don't go far enough because the majority of people are in the center for the most part.
Well, that's why for me, it's like Republican, Democrat. When you're too far left, too far right, I probably don't agree with you.
Right.
Like, I'm not an extremist.
Yeah.
I'm not an extremist.
I wouldn't consider
on
myself
any of it. So
an extremist, but I'm
not super far left.
I'm
like,
more
I don't,
liberal than the Bidens and the Hillarys of the world.
Because to me, maybe I'm wrong. Isn't the super far left like when you start to believe in like what's that, the Illuminati and things like that, and the brainwashing? Isn't that the super far left?
No, that's still right. That's more like QAnon.
Yeah,
rabbit hole kind of thing.
Far left would be like reparations and like people that.
Still, no, I don't feel like that's far left.
I think far left.
Reparations is far left.
I think if you're far left, you believe in. We currently live in a capitalist society right now, and as a democratic, we're a capitalist.
They don't believe in socialism.
I think left people would lean towards more socialism.
The Bernie Sanders of the world.
Yeah, I think that's
so. Bernie Sanders is considered
very left. He's
very left,
far left.
Far left.
Oh,
far left. He's like the epitome of Trump, but
and
on
he's
the other
technically
side.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, and technically,
and I'm not as into politics as
and
these
Bernie
two,
is
so
technically not
questions.
a member. Yeah. Bernie's technically not a member of the Democratic Party.
No,
he's an independent.
I do know that.
But he ran as a Democrat, but he is an independent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what makes him super far left?
He does universal health care, universal. It's very much socialist, which
I don't mind.
It's a nice idea. It's a nice idea because very much people talk about they do it in Norway and Finland and all that stuff. Yeah, because they're a majority white country
and they're really small countries.
And they're very not even. I don't even think it's about size because being the richest country in the world, we could definitely do it to scale. It's the end of the day. It's the reason why when we have Jim Crow and when that ended. A lot of the policies were socialist in America is just when black people saying, okay, yeah, you can
some
have
of these
access.
Rights. Yeah.
So when you have your public pools and when you realize, okay, black people are going to be able to have access to the public pool, instead of welcoming those black people, what they do, they poured concrete in the pools and said, okay, no, nobody can have pools. We'll just have private clubs.
Yeah.
And only certain people can join.
So it's like, okay.
They, at the end of the day, what I think the biggest barrier for this country is racism, because I think at the end of the day, a lot of the things that we want, the reason why we don't have it is because, unfortunately, people do not want people of color to have access as well.
Yeah.
They want those things. They want to have a fully funded Social Security and have, well-funded public libraries, public schools, have, your college education paid for. A lot of what very much, child care and all that stuff. A lot of the stuff that these European majority white countries have, but at the end of the day, that means that then black people will have access to it, or people of color will have access to it, and that's the crux.
They'll have access to it, and they're hungrier than you are.
Yes.
So what's going to happen next?
I think a lot of, unfortunately, white people are the majority, and I think a lot of them would rather go hungry.
A lot of them, not all of them, no.
A lot of them would rather go hungry than have black people or people of color on the same level as them, because they've bought into the lie that being white is superior.
And I do think that that's not the majority that we see on a day-to-day basis. I think those are like the little corners of the dark corners of the U.S.
I don't think it's
core.
I think it's deep down in the subconscious.
I
don't think
systemic.
It's systemic, exactly. So you may not be wear the hood and burn the cross on but there's plenty of people out there who maybe that extreme, but internally it's the same shared belief.
Yeah.
So they may not express that with physical violence, but it's still there.
For example, if a Caucasian male, votes Democrat, but at the same time doesn't want his white daughter dating a black man, that's racist. But is he a KKK member? No. But there are variables.
There are varying degrees.
So
I do think that.
So that's what we're referring to, Mason.
Absolutely, because I've definitely experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not racist, but don't be dating that black girl.
Mm-hmm. See, so there's varying degrees, and I think it's all detrimental. I've experienced that. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of white people who feel like, well, I'm not calling you the N-word.
Yeah, so I'm not racist.
That's not enough.
But it manifests itself.
That's not enough.
So many ways
to clear you of that.
Yeah,
guilt.
it's just like just because you're not violent or you're not like we're in the hood or calling me the N-word or things like that. But like you said, when it comes to dating, or if you feel like right now a lot of people have their panties in a wad about with the colleges, and they just
affirmative action.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
Affirmative action. There's this assumption that there's a lot of white people who are like, well, my child's exceptional. If they weren't white, they would have gone into the school. And a lot of these people they're looking at their resumes, and we're talking about getting into Harvard. I'm like, you do realize Harvard has less than a 10% acceptance rate. So your child most likely was not going to be getting into that school, even with an impressive resume that really, honestly, when I look at it, I'm like, a lot of, I could have seen, I walked by 10 of those people when I was in high school.
That's why people they think it's fair. That's why I'm like, you have this ignorance to think that everything is fair. Yes, there's affirmative action, but you're like, just go on merits. If they didn't have affirmative action, they would not be going on merits either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's be real. So it's supposed to give us an opportunity to have a seat at the table.
Yeah. And then we're talking about how with Harvard's admission records, like right now their goal is to have someone from all 50 states in each graduating class. So for you, if you come from a very small state, so like a Montana, there's not a lot of people in Montana versus California or New York, it's easier for you to get in because you're competing against less people to be able to get one of those slots. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the day, there's many different criteria, but and this is said by a lot of people, black people who are in Ivy League, when a lot of their classmates, even though there's still predominantly white kids there, they feel like you only got here because you're black or you're a person of color.
Yeah. Even
though the reason why a lot of kids don't get in is due to legacy admission. Mm-hmm. So we all know that George W. Bush Jr. went to Yale. Y'all really think he was Yale
material?
It's because his father went there, and
they pay a lot of money in school.
Paid a lot. Jared Kushner.
That's what I'm saying. So it's unfair when affirmative actions come into play and you get a spot, but it's not unfair when you build the wing of the school and that's how you got in. You don't bring that up
when you add to their endowment, which Harvard is $1 billion endowment. At the end of the day, is why aren't you going? That is what's really hindering which majority of legacy admissions or make up majority of the class. Why are you going after the small 10% or less than 10% of the student population feeling I need to go after these small amount of slots that are available instead against these over here, which you have a better opportunity if they got rid of legacy admission.
Yeah.
And a part of that is that racism, that you feel like black people or people of color haven't earned something, that somehow, because you've bought into the lie of white supremacy, that you're better simply because of XYZ. And there's a lot of students out there that, like I said, they're not born on third base, where somebody was talking about, you have kids out there who aren't getting private tutors, who are struggling in public school systems and still knowing how to exceed when they're talking about taking the SATs. There are kids, because it costs money to take an SAT.
Yeah.
They have one shot to take that SAT. They're not having private tutors teaching them how to take the tests. So, and they're still able to ace that test, and they had one shot. When you got kids in the suburbs having tutors teaching them how to take the test to best navigate the test, and they're taking it multiple times, and it's not cheap to take these tests. So if you're talking about, hey, I'm taking it 3-4 times, when other kids don't have the ability to do that, and they take your highest score, it should be average. I really think it should be average. If you're taking it multiple times, you're average.
Yeah.
And so they take it multiple times trying to get a
true.
higher score.
I agree with
so
that.
there's a lot of different factors, and I really get upset when people think the only reason why you're here is because you're black or because you're a person of color. No. Same way you don't question
But
those
you
legacy
don't-
admissions, how they got there. You shouldn't be questioning.
Or you
the
didn't
people
question
of
about
color.
any of the things I had to do to even get here to be even considered.
Yeah,
Like,
you don't know my background.
that's what I'm saying. You don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, you shouldn't really look like worry about you. That's people like worry about
Worry
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah.
Worry about
Mind your
yourself.
business.
Worry about yourself. Mind your business. At the end of the day, you've been winning all this time. Let somebody else win. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
okay.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't. I mean, other than some Ivy League diplomas, most of these schools, nobody cares where you went.
No,
Let's be
they
honest.
They really don't.
If you got into Harvard
At
or an
this
Ivy
point,
League
I
school,
actually
that does have brand recognition, and people do feel like a little different about you. But if you went to the UT Austin versus Michigan, nobody gives a fuck.
Okay, to be honest, unless you're going into some type of field where it's like doctor,
Law
lawyer,
school,
that
or
kind of
law
stuff,
lawyers, yeah.
like those kind of fields, they don't care if you have a college degree. They don't care. Not
It
nowadays.
could be community. It could be community colleges. All you have to say is I have the degree.
You don't have to
Yeah.
say any. I'm telling you right now. Even when we're like, I do interviews. My company, this company now, my last company, they don't care about the degree anymore.
They want to know you can do the work.
They
Right.
they don't
If
care.
if you're trainable.
I honestly think at this point it's getting to the point where they would prefer hands-on experience over a degree at this
Yeah.
point. Now, do I think that a degree offers more than people think? Yes, I do think it allows you to become a more well-rounded individual quicker. So
Yeah, that's the whole college
yeah,
experience.
I think yes,
Yeah.
it does help quicker. Like there are courses you take that have nothing to do with anything but being a productive member of society, and so having those of course, it's like different certifications, all that. It's just like being certified, like
Right.
so. But at this point, it's getting to the point where I feel like it's literally hand in hand. Work like experience, hands-on experience, and the degree, they're pretty much weighed the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who have the degree, but
Don't have the experience, and they won't give them the job. And there are people who have the hands-on experience for 20 years and they'll get the job
Yeah.
over that person
because
with
they
the
know
degree.
they can do it
Right. So like it's kind of leveling out, and the whole education system is getting ridiculous if you ask me. It's
Yeah.
just too expensive.
And honestly,
It's so expensive for it not to even really matter coming up on it not mattering.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, because I think more colleges aren't really doing it
People
solely
used
for
to-
education. They're doing it as a for-profit.
That's what I'm saying. At this point, people used to be able to go and get a whole year of education, $2,000 to $5,000, and that's your damn near your whole college education.
Yeah.
That's gone. That's long gone. That's
Those-
one
those days
semester.
are gone,
Even
yeah.
community
That's one
college.
semester.
Yeah.
Even community college is getting up there.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. It's
Yeah.
not $400, $500. It's thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I get
There's a lot-
frustrated when people like boomers are like, "Oh, I did it." It's like,
Yeah.
yes,
It was
sir,
so
but at the same
cheap.
time, your
you're
tuition
cheap.
was
Yeah.
Your tuition was like $1,500 a semester.
yeah.
Yeah.
$1,000 a semester.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Now
are
it's
going in
like 10 grand a
$60,000
semester.
People are in $60,000 in debt by the time they finish.
Yeah.
More.
More than that,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
More.
Kids now are in debt what it costs most boomers their first starter home.
Right, exactly.
And that's
They
what I'm saying.
can't-
And then they go out into the job market and they can get a job.
yeah. So there's
At least not a well-paying job enough to pay
No.
off the loan.
I mean,
exactly.
Now that's what I'm saying.
Plus with interest. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And then people are like $14, $15 an hour. And I'm like, if you have a student loan, forget it.
And another thing I've noticed when looking for jobs, I have a bachelor's degree and I'm going to grad school in the fall, but there are a lot of jobs that require a master's degree. Conversely, on the flip side, I've seen must have master's degree, but they pay $50,000 a year.
$45,000.
And it's like you're
shut
wanting
up.
a master's degree for a $50,000 degree, or year job.
That's
It's
how
like-
it felt when I came into the industry I'm in now. Like, that's why I told my mom, like, I didn't want to go back to school for speech pathology, because by the time I get my master's and get paid maybe $45,000, $55,000 coming out new, I'm making that now.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I can work my way up in corporate.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my mindset, but
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think a lot of things that, a lot of things that I think is wrong with the direction sometimes that this country takes is deeply rooted in racism, sexism, and all that stuff. So I feel like
I think it's just a survival of the fittest type thing. They just
Yeah.
want to be the ones on top.
yeah,
whatever it is.
Facts. Whatever
I am, race, gender, ethnicity, like education level. I just want to be a top.
Yeah.
And I want, if it's fair, it needs to be fair
for me,
geared towards me.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Everybody wants to have the upper leg. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I really do feel like I said, with Nikki Haley, I was just shocked that her as a woman of color would say that, but I understand she's
embarrassed.
She's trying to appeal to a certain demographic that unfortunately does not look like her. And at the end of the day, I feel sorry for her because even though as much as she can toe the line, they will never pick her. Yeah. No matter what you say, they will never pick you. I don't know why you're wasting your time, your money. You will never be their choice. And it's sad to say, but I think
it's
at the
reality.
end of the day, that's reality. And she's doing herself a disservice by doing that.
See, I don't feel any empathy for her for multiple reasons. I don't think she's a very good person, but that's beside the point. But I agree with you that I think that because she is pandering to a certain demographic, she has to mind her P's and Q's and say, "Oh, slavery, that was a thing when I don't really remember slavery."
She's just
actually.
like,
it's like,
let's not talk about that.
Yeah, that was just
that's neither here nor there. That's over.
Yeah, that didn't take place here. That's over.
We're not dealing with that. I mean, technically, it wasn't even based on that.
But then she goes and says, "But I experienced race in the same breath." Saying I experienced racism when I was young. It's like, girl, she's just
talking.
She's just, she's
just trying to.
And now she's just saying,
she's a squirrel trying to get her nut.
She's trying to, erase what she said and say,
wouldn't you want to?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's embarrassing. So. Yeah.
Janice, any last thoughts?
I mean, I feel like I've said a lot of thoughts, but yeah, I think with her, it's that feeling I have where she probably just identifies with the Republican Party as a whole. She probably doesn't agree with everything that's happened or everything that's said and done by her counterparts, but at the same time, she's trying to, because really, you can't make change in anything unless you're a part of it, right? And maybe that's her mindset,
Yeah.
I'll say what I need to say now, get the nomination, which, like you said, she probably will never get, and then maybe I can put more different opinions and different viewpoints forward. But
yeah, it's a good point.
You can't be in the race if you don't get in
the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where she was coming from. But either way, it's a very
sad situation.
Unfortunate situation for her to have said that out loud because this was, to me, just completely untrue.
That's embarrassing.
All right, so this is a heavy topic this week, but I think we dove pretty deep into that. So we're gonna go ahead and head on out. See you guys.
Have the rest of our Sunday.
Yes, have the rest of our Sunday. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on the latest episode of Let Me Finish. Thank you guys for joining us for another week and listening to the latest episode. Don't forget, go like, share, and subscribe on your favorite platforms. And you guys can also follow us and see us on different platforms. I am on Instagram, and that's going to be Uniquely Janice. And then I'll also be on TikTok, Janice H, GENICEH. Michael, where can they find you?
I'm only on Instagram, and it's Kasra Salimi. And by Kasra Salimi, I mean Kasra Writes, because I changed it and I just forgot. So it's KASRA Writes, WRITES.
Yes. Jillian, where can we find you?
Instagram as well, and it's New Jillian Who Dis.
New Jillian Who Dis. All right, well, we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.